So this morning we found out that Pope Francis, we call him the woke Pope, he passed away. I believe he was 88 years old, but I think that's like 500 years in Pope years or something. There's that dog. Well, it's a long time. He lived a long life of wokeness and radical leftness, and he was a radical left uh, person in South America. He was before he became Pope, and we were obviously my vice president J.P. Vance is very upset because he just met the Pope. He just met the Pope, and I don't know if he gave him COVID or some sort of white trash disease that the Pope didn't have immunity from. But the Pope just passed away, and I thought that's very interesting because a lot of people, when they're talking to J.Z. Vance, they say, "God, somebody kill me," because he's such a strange, fat-faced, white trash, Mountain Dew drinking Ohio person, and we love him. We love him. We love him. We love JP and his family of whatever they do, and his brown wife. You know, what can Brown do for you? Well, maybe not show up to as many MAGA rallies. They're not too big fans of Pusha T, his wife. But what's her name? Usher. Okay. Well, anyway, the Usher's pretty talented. Though I wouldn't let my wife Mesopotamia go to his show. He was gonna grind on her. You know, the Black Stew when they're doing the soulful R&B sort of stuff. He just puts his pelvis on her, and I said, "Darling, you're not going to see Usher, but you can be friends with Usher Vance. How about that? That's called husband wife diplomacy. Nobody does it better than me." But the woke Pope, he was, I think a sort of radical person, and I know the Catholics for Trump really weren't big fans of him. He spoke about things that I don't think Jesus ever talked about. He was very pro poor people, very pro poor people, which is, the Jesus I know, was very pro wealth. The prosperity gospel. My friend Joel Osteen, when he was turning people away during a hurricane, was very proud to talk on Jesus's desire that we all be not all be wealthy, but that if you're wealthy, you're good, and if you're poor, you should shut the hell up. But obviously, the woke Pope was also into climate change. He kept saying stupid things like, we have to be stewards of the earth, and I'm like, my name's Donald, not Stewart. He doesn't even know name. He doesn't even know name. You'd think God's Pope would be like sort of better on names, but he said, "Sir, you have to be a steward of the earth." And I say, "Well, I'm a Donald of Mar-a-Lago, which is good enough for me." And it's very sad though that he passed away right after that movie Conclave, because if you saw Conclave, the only thing worse than a woke Pope is I think the Pope they did in that movie. And if I'm not spoiling it, but let's just say a Pope should have a penis, and we'll leave it at that. That's a very ironclad rule for the Catholics for Trump. But he was, I think, pro Earth, pro poor people, pro tolerance. So these are things that I mean. Frankly, I think if Jesus were here today and I didn't deport him, he would be very upset about. So we say to the woke Catholics, we're sorry that your Pope has passed away. We're hoping that we get a nice sort of Irish, like there was a Father Coughlin a long time ago who's had very good ideas, very smart guy. He passed away, so he's not eligible to be Pope. But we're hoping to get like a nice Irish guy, maybe somebody who was like a cop for 20 years and then retired from the force for having sex with too many people that weren't his wife, and then he decided after going to AA, became a priest, and preached very strongly on how we have to get the blacks out of our nice Irish neighborhood. And then, he gets elevated to sort of a cardinal, and maybe we can get him. Father O'Malley, he was a good, pro law enforcement, pro sort of keeping our communities safe and not gentrified. I mean, excuse me, keeping them white. Let's just say people are stupid. My supporters, they're so stupid. We got to say it. We want a white Irish Pope who was preferably a cop before he became a priest, and will not go for these woke ideas. Not to be, and uh, obviously we can't have a Pope from Africa, no matter how conservative they are. That's Catholic is not just about Jesus and faith and belief. It's also about white. Okay, as far as when I go to Catholics for Trump meetings, it seems like it's That way, maybe like one random Mexican who hates his own people. But the point is, rest in peace, Pope Franklin. Okay, you were too woke for me, but you seemed like some people liked you. Bye bye.